there's an argument here that this might be the best Spider-Man movie. What a do, ladies and dudes, you know who I be, Vulgar Desperado.
Gentleman Bastard.
Jawz in the booth, and today, fair warning, we are going to give you a spoiler-filled review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Now, before we jump into it, go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave comments. You know we love discussions.
So let's not beat around the bush and get real into it. So, for those that don't remember, Across the Spider-Verse is the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, following Miles Morales as Brooklyn's own and one and only Spider-Man. After Peter Parker, was it Peter A. Parker?
Peter, yep.
I don't know if they called him Peter A. I can't remember, but after
Peter
Peter Parker
did have
dies,
an initial in between.
because the other one was Peter B.
Yep.
Yeah, and so this is more multiverse madness, if you will, and this movie is legit, y'all. I have nothing but praise for this movie, to be perfectly honest. If you've heard my other little quick non-spoiler review, you'll already know this. But this time we want to get into the nut and bolts of the film and actually kind of go into why it's here, So this time you got the Gentleman Bastard on the track with you.
That's how we do it.
So, let's start off kind of small. As obvious, the animation style. That is going to be the biggest selling point and probably the number one thing you're going to hear from anybody that has seen the movie.
Yeah, like that animation was great. And what I had to love is that each time, each Spider-Man, each Spider-Verse was original.
Yeah.
They didn't all look the same. They had a different type of grindiness to it and stuff. Like
very good details on that shit.
Like made every single thing just feel original.
Yeah,
like we all look the same.
Like almost nonstop.
Like
yeah, because even times when you think they kind of do, I mean, obviously there is like Gwen and Miles are gonna look more similar because that's just kind of how it worked. They looked that way in the last movie too.
They did.
But like when you do look at Gwen's universe and her character, it's almost like watercolors. Her character bleeds a little bit.
Everything is like it goes into all of those bleeding colors on the walls all the time.
But there are certain scenes. If you look at her shoulder, it's doing that. Like when they're in that the whole Spider-Verse, when they're meeting Miguel, and then like she's standing there. I think the nigga's lecturing her, and you see like, oh shit, look at her shoulder. It's actually doing that shit. So and obviously like Hobie, Spider-Punk, he's always fucking he's switching colors. Yeah,
never
you
the same
think the nigga is
thing.
glitching, but like and even God, I swear his name's Patel, but the Indian Spider-Man, he's pretty close to Gwen and Miles too. And I think again because when you're in a place the longest, they kind of keep, there's a standard,
exactly.
But there's even a little bit difference in the way they kind of move and operate too. And I mean, like obviously that is like very, very impressive to be able to switch so frequently, especially in Gwen's world, because it's not like when she's, in the beginning of the movie, towards the end of the movie, when you're just in her world, they switch colors like fucking crack.
Yeah, they do.
Like, like
based on how the conversation's going, which way the scene's moving, everything just flip.
You're like, dang, bro, like they went up to drug addicts and say, hey, man, what's it like? Like, explain it in detail
we want to give people a seizure without giving them a seizure.
Like, yeah, they were on one for sure. It's definitely built for a certain audience, but everybody can love it because really it is visually stunning. It's visually gorgeous. There's nothing but praise there. Anyone that would tell you it's bad, they're probably an epileptic.
Yeah,
and like
couldn't look at it too long.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We don't want you to die to go see the movie. But I'll be real. I don't think it's a lot of flashing lights. I think it's kind of toned, like down. But it's like it's very stunning how they do it. It's very artistic.
Yeah,
that's the best way to.
Nice, bright, just like kind of. It's all the vibrantness that you want to see when you're looking at art.
Exactly, and I think being that it's CG too, and side note on that, like I think Spider-Man almost works best as a full-blown CG movie.
Yeah.
Just because in a lot of ways, all the wild shit that you want to watch him do, it makes more sense.
You can see him do it.
Exactly.
All of that acrobaticness that he has.
Exactly.
Yep,
Exactly.
Twisties,
The fights are just way more fluid. So with the whole CG of the film, it's pretty even in its fights and its action scenes because you're like, yo, like it doesn't have to have those moments of let me pause, get a real person in here, let me pause, let me have them take off their mask and show you that it's Toby or Tom or whatever, Andrew,
Yeah.
you know. So I think there's a good fluidity in the in its prettiness, if you will, because it doesn't have to switch back and forth from live action to to CG.
Yeah, it does.
So that 10 out of 10 for sure.
Oh,
Like
hell yeah.
the look of it is fantastic. So let's get into the story now. A lot of people, I've heard some other reviewers out there, and a lot of people still think that the first one is superior. And there's always that original story. Is better kind of rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
People are kind of liking things because it's the first, and I get that. Personally, though, I'm more of the mind of once the character is a little bit more established, especially when it comes to like the action scenes, it's a little bit better because they're just they know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're a little bit more into it. Like, I personally like Empire Strikes Back a little bit better than A New Hope because Luke's got the lightsaber. He's young. He's doing spins. You know what I'm saying? He's like, what?
He's
Better
actually
come fuck
trying.
with me. And then he lost his hand. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's kind of tight, and this is kind of how I feel in the same way, in both ways, because there's also a complaint going out there that people are mad that it ends on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, well, I don't understand what you mean because you have a lot of people that will tell you Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So, that to me is not a good valid reason, but I do think that this one is overall better and superior to the first one. You see Miles more in his Spider-Man shoes. He's more comfortable doing his Spider-Man thing. You're kind of more into the Spider-Man, the normalcy, because I think one normal thing that you see with Spider-Man is that, he's having difficulty juggling life.
Yep.
So you get to kind of see that with Miles, his parents, school, obviously a little bit, but you get to see more of that Spider-Man-ness instead of like, okay, I'm learning, to be Spider-Man. You see him already
falling into the role. Now he's kind of okay. I can do this role a little more.
Exactly.
I got some kind of tenure going on.
Yeah,
It's been a year and a half or something.
Year and
said
6 months, six or
Something.
4 months.
Yep.
And so he's more used to it, and I think that's kind of cool for the character. And I think it's also cool, to see Gwen more too in the story. The story kind of
breaking down her backstory, actually showing everything with her Peter and all that. It was like,
cool.
That was just like, damn, kind of like best friend, and you just had to go through all that.
That was nice. I liked how the story kind of starts off as a prequel.
Yep.
Not like a prequel. That's not a good word, but it's like a a prologue.
Yeah.
It's a prologue. But because her story, getting her backstory, and then, kind of where she's at currently is the jump off point of eventually Miles' story starting. Because, you go to Miles' world, and granted, the spot is there, but the story gets going once Gwen shows up when she's not supposed to.
Exactly.
Now, granted, she's there for the spot, and she could have just did her job. You know what I'm saying? She could have just captured.
Missed her some miles. Though.
Yeah, she missed some miles. So the story really kind of it shows them actually intertwined, and it shows their connection because it is more Miles stories, but it does show the importance of Gwen in the sense that technically, if she didn't go and fuck up, we wouldn't really have a story. You know what I mean?
And it's just. It does kind of really tie things together, having hers be the beginning and just showing how everything goes along.
I think it does. It makes a good connection for them. It makes their connection deeper because one thing that you do see in the story, especially in Gwen's backstory, well, not so much in her backstory, more her current, modern story. She has a strained relationship with her father. Her dad's a cop, and he believes that Spider-Gwen killed Peter Parker, who was out there, had the lizard serum and shit.
Yeah, he was being the bad guy.
You see her dad real fuck up. It was actually kind of funny, but there was a collective groan in the theater when, he boy basically told her, put your hands up. When she took off her mask, everyone was like, yo, like it was
How
pretty.
Dare you?
Yeah, so you see this kind of, like struggle, and you kind of, you get to get more into her character. I thought that was pretty tight, and then you get to see that kind of contrast with Miles and his dad and they're actually getting along as Spider-Man and the captain or the cop lieutenant. But at the same time, he does have a somewhat difficult relationship being Miles with his dad, Because
he wants to tell him so bad. It's just,
Right? Which is a good debate. Let us know in the comments. Would you tell your parents that you were Spider-Man? If you had the
keep
power,
that secret the whole time.
Yeah, would you tell your significant other? Would you tell your family? Like, would you let people? I mean, he let Genki fucking know. Like,
You got my Jordans on?
Yeah, are those my Jordans? Nigga, Squick, that shit was funny. Hey, and on another note, like, this movie is really well written. It is funny. There is some good, like, dialogue.
I think you had mentioned it when we saw it. Like, this is the one Marvel movie that should be funny because of the character he is.
Exactly. Like all the quips and stuff, even though I would say it's a little bit different than the technical Marvel quip style, but the quick-witted humor works best with a shit ton of Spider-Man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
somebody gets smacked and they just get back up talking shit, and it's just every single one of them does
Literally, every Spider-Man is talking shit to every Spider-Man. Like, it's,
you.
Yeah, like, it makes way more sense in this world than others. Now, one thing that this movie does really good, and I think, for me at least personally, what about you, Bastard? We'll see. Like, I think this movie solidifies Miles as like a legitimate character, as a legitimate hero, and as a legitimate Spider-Man. I know there's a lot of debate, and there's a lot of love for Peter. I don't think, with all the race swaps, character swaps, and all that shit that's been going on in the last several years, Miles Morales is probably the only character that it kind of works.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people are not going to fully understand, because they're going to still see him as replacement Peter or replacement Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man, whatever. And I think at the same time, if you kind of just know enough of the history and the backstory of the Ultimate Universe and how Peter technically dies there, and kind of the purpose behind the Ultimate Universe, in that it was created for a younger generation. That's why a lot of the characters were teenagers, and that's why, it came out in 2000s. Like, I don't think it's like foul play to be like, well, what do you want to do to make, for a surprise story arc or a massive event? Kill Peter Parker and you replace him with a dude.
Exactly.
Now, the fact that he's black, some people are going to look at it as like, well, that's them trying to pander. It really doesn't matter how you feel about that. Like, the idea of a character getting swapped out, controversial or not, it's not foreign to comics. And I think, let alone, whether you love it or love him or hate him, I think personally this movie kind of solidifies him as a legitimate character.
Yeah.
I think these, are, this story does use a lot of, what you want to call it, like, well, they're not shy about it. It's very meta. There's a there's a whole canon event thing. They call it the canon event.
Yep, every Spider-Man has to go through it. You gotta lose. You gotta have that loss.
You have to like lose. Your Uncle Ben. You're losing a police captain. They basically talk about how to keep all these multiverse of Spider-Mans cohesive, you have to stay canonized.
Yep.
And I respect that, because yes, truly, in the meta sense, like, I want to see Miles kind of go through some of those canon events. But, Miles does try to, go against the grain. He's trying to be like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm like, I can kind of respect that idea too, I mean, comics, there are certain rules and lores to it all, but in the sense of just storytelling, in the sense that this is a movie and not necessarily a comic book, and I know people won't be able to know the difference or differentiate between the two, but I think it's kind of a cool thing that he's kind of trying to want to step out, be his own character, be his own man, which a lot of people have been asking for. What do you think, Bastard?
I do think that, like, this does kind of make it to where Miles gets to stand alone finally, where he can stand on his 2 feet compared to being in Peter's shadow the whole time. Like, he shows how he can be a Spider-Man, how he can stand as his own hero. He takes care of his New York. And then when he gets sent back to the wrong New York, they show how Spider-Man is needed. There's always one that has to be there, and how he actually did step up after his Peter died.
Yeah,
like,
at the end of the movie, for, again, spoilers here, he does not... You find out that Miles was, his spider was from a different universe, and Miles wasn't supposed to get those powers. He got bit, and if he didn't get bit, Peter A. Parker, or whatever, he would have survived.
Been alive.
And this other world that has no Spider-Man
would have had one.
Yeah, it would have had one, and it goes to shit. Now, from this movie, we don't know if that Spider-Man was supposed to, or that Spider rather, was supposed to go to Miles, because in this world, Miles is the Prowler.
Man.
He's
G with
yeah,
it too.
he's full on evil, got the fucking thug braids, Bums and Thugs and Harmony braids, So, it's kind of interesting to see, a different universe for him as a character. And I think there's a good metaverse, because, obviously in the darker universe, the struggle is real. His mom out there, his dad is dead, his mom's struggling, picking up extra shifts, So
and Uncle Aaron is now being one of the providers. And
so you see that hood kind of, a little bit there. And I think, there's some good commentary about, influence and, the different paths of life depending on, the hands you're dealt. So I think that's kind of cool, to see where that will go, because it does, again, end on a cliffhanger where this Prowler Miles does got this dude. But I agree. Like, I think what you were saying before about, how he can stand on his own and kind of get out of Peter's shadow, because, like, he has this nice little heart-to-heart with his mom after he has that massive escape chase scene with them all. Like, that shit had me fucking geeked. I was gassed up watching that shit. I was like, yo.
All the different spiders, their little specific powers they have.
It was getting sick. Around all of them. It was hilarious because, fucking pregnant Jessica Drew.
Oh, damn.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie, there are some things in the film that you will roll your eyes to. But the best part of the movie is they don't make it and they don't break it. They are very easy. I mentioned it briefly in the my other review. And look, this isn't a political channel, so we're not going to go deep into it. We do talk about some of the anti-woke things, especially when it comes to race, because we're two black guys. But at the same time, we're not going to go heavy into that shit because we just don't give a fuck. So, hate it or love it, take it or leave it. I can definitely tell you in this film, it doesn't change it.
Not at all.
So, but there is a funny ass scene where she's like talking shit to Peter B. Parker. It's like, about your terrible mentor. And this nigga Miles gave her the business. He's like, Peter B's like,
I guess I'm not.
Yeah, I was like, you let her fucking know. That shit cracked me up, dude. He's tight, man. Peter B is the man. I don't know what she talking,
with
bro.
The damn baby the whole time.
Yeah, with the baby. He's like, don't tell me like that. The guy, he knitted her. Bro, Peter B was tight, bro. He was just chilling. Miguel wasn't saying Parker. Shit to him. I was like, bro, Peter B must really be that nigga.
Yeah.
Because I was like, bro, like, you can't talk shit to him. He's like, man, I just had enough of you. Like, yeah, but you ain't mean to him.
Out of all of them, it's like he would be probably the original type of Peter, wouldn't he?
I feel like he would be.
So
he's like
it's like, there you go.
Whatever.
This is where your canon started.
Exactly. He's that type of shit. The Prime universe, right? But regardless, I do think that, Miles does shine really well in this film,
Yeah, he does.
I would say, there's all kinds of debates for the comic version. There could be some cooler stories than other ones. They might all suck in your opinion. There's debate definitely in the video game. I thought he was cool all the way up into the ending where they decided to kind of have a little cuck ending with my nigga being held off like bodyguard,
he had to be saved.
But, I think the movies do show him at his tightest. He's not bitch made. He's got the girl sort of, which again, I think that's actually an interesting and curious relationship because it's got like some drama to it.
Yeah, it does.
Because of, like like they're not supposed to like it. Like you know,
It's the
I don't
two
want to give away the
universes.
movie too
Yeah.
much, but you know, you see there's some complications besides the obvious fact that they're from different universes.
Yep.
I mean, the simple fact that that nigga is an anomaly. You know,
Yeah.
like so you're interested in how their relationship could even work, but you know, Miles is really like he's like just kind of coming into that. He's becoming into that nigga. You
Yep,
know what I mean? Because a lot of
finally.
people say, "Oh, he's boring. He's just like Peter." Da, da, da. I think movies Miles is the most unlike Peter because he is kind of more like a black kid. He likes
Yeah.
hip hop. He's kind of doing his thing. Like he's obviously like science and stuff. You know, they taught to hint at that with his whole physics.
But
You know,
you could see
pursuit.
like the difference of where he grew up compared to where Peter grew up. too.
Exactly,
Both
like-
Brooklyn, but both different sides of Brooklyn. So it's
Yeah, like
just
Peter grew up kind of like not I wouldn't call it the suburbs, but there was like like housing.
yeah,
It was like
he
a
at
little
least was
different.
in some type of small townhome type of like
Yeah,
setting, and then you
it's
got
something
Miles, who's definitely in an
more in
apartment.
the like the like the flats or more
Exactly.
like city. You
Like,
know,
they're chilling,
So
they're in
they
their-
have
they're-
like different, and they have a different vibe. You know, because.
Yeah.
You know, one thing about Peter that I think a lot of people forget is like he was a nerd. He used to
Exactly.
get bullied in high school. Like Miles isn't that kid.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So like
People knew him. He was chill. he
Yeah,
was
so you
cool.
do get a different vibe in Spider-Man, and I get it. You know, like it kind of creates a different character, but I mean, like you don't always have to be getting bullied,
No.
to be Spider-Man.
Like,
Like
Spider-Man has its other different losses you have to have, not necessarily being bullied, being pushed around, being the small guy. It's just like his loss is supposed to be what the uncle is, what the captain is, and maybe even one of the girlfriends. But it's just those are spider losses. That's what I feel makes him and keeps him as a Spider-Man, not doing everything Peter does, being the nerdiest, being the smartest, all that. Like he can be his own and is becoming his own Spider-Man.
Because one thing I do like about the Spider-Man in the game is like he makes music.
Yeah.
I think Peter's a photographer. Okay, he makes music. So, and you can say, well, it's just similar to like I'm like, listen, like
everybody has to have a hobby.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be some similarities. Like I think like most spider people have similarities. You were shit talking ninja more or less.
Exactly.
But I do think like Miles is becoming his own man and becoming his own character. People are going to view him more legitimately as Spider-Man. And again, like, it's not so much that, he's taking over Peter's place. Like it's always going to be Peter Parker as the number one Spider-Man, but Peter died in the Ultimate Verse, like, you know what I mean? So Miles took over, and I guess I just don't hate that. Like, Spawn, blonde white dude took over for Spawn. There's another, people took over for Batman, and, a lot of people, yes, obviously these characters, they gave their role back, but, they try to do something different for Marvel, and I think, even after some time, it's kind of paying off. These are really good fucking movies that I would argue like these last two Spider-Verse movies are better than the others. You know what I'm saying?
Than all other ones that have been made. You're not wrong. They're really up there.
Like the Spider-Man original trilogy, even the third one, a lot of people have smoke for that one. Honestly, all three of those movies are really fucking good if you ask me. I recently watched them because I'm just super geeked on Spider-Man, and I was like, hey, all three of these motherfuckers still hold up. You know what I'm saying? And, like, it's pretty funny to watch old movies because, like, they're using payphones.
Yeah,
that's
the one thing.
You're like, damn, bro.
I'm remembering him calling.
Like, shit is fucking funny, bro. You're like, damn, bro, okay. But, it's kind of like, I think those are really good. These are really good. I'm not a fan of the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is okay. I think the first one of his movie is better than the second one, even though the ending was good when they killed Gwen, which doesn't sound right, but you're like, oh shit, the dramatics.
Yeah.
It got real. So, and then they were supposed to actually introduce Mary Jane in that movie, but they cut her scene out. Like, they didn't know what they were trying to do with that. But
that's what they did. Amazing Spider-Man would have been the shit.
It would have been. But, but basically, I guess my point being is, like, especially when it comes to, like, movies and stuff, it's like, there are different versions of this. There are different versions of the comic books, and I don't know, like, it's kind of like Wally and Barry. Like, Wally's an adult now, so he's the Flash, and Barry's an adult, and he's the Flash.
Exactly.
I don't, like, people are like, well, Miles should have a new identity, like Nightwing, blah, 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 and I'm like, yeah, no, it just doesn't.
I feel Spider-Man is just the monarch that everybody is gonna be. There's gonna all of these people, Spider people, are Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Woman, Spider-Woman,
yeah.
Spider. So it's just
it's like we don't really. I mean, there might be a Spider Boy or two. I know he has kids and whatnot.
Because even Spider Gwen is still Spider Woman in her
she's
world.
Technically Spider Woman.
She's not
she
Spider
started off
Gwen.
as Ghost Spider too.
And see, it's
which makes sense because I think she was like
cool.
a mystery. I'm not 100% sure. Let us know in the comments if you stayed this long in the video. but, so I don't know. I guess in a lot of ways, if I had any, I don't want to say animosity, but any disdain in looking at Miles as a token character, I don't have that anymore. I think this film kind of, shattered that perception for me personally, and just kind of looking more into the history of the character, I'm like, look, I don't like, tokenized, I don't like Wolverine being switched out with X-23, Riri Williams switching out Iron Man, She-Hulk trying to be the new Hulk, all that kind of shit, what's Natalie Portman's character, Jane being,
Jane being new
like,
Thor.
I know, like, a lot of this shit is bad ideas, but in that sea of it, Miles is the only one that you can look at least on the Marvel side, where you're like, hey, bro, this actually worked.
Yep.
This character's actually cool. And,
he's killing it.
He's not like a douchebag. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those other characters, when they got their mantle, they were just terrible on the page.
Yep. They wanted
Miles
to smack
was
everybody
never a
up.
dick talking about I'm the new. I mean, and then maybe somebody can prove me wrong, sure.
Yep.
But most people. But the fact of the matter is that he's stuck around here long enough. Got enough love.
Yep, he definitely does. Gotta love Miles.
All right. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this movie? Did it make you reevaluate or think differently about Miles and his multiverse? Do you view him as a Spider-Man? I'm not saying he's replacing Peter. Don't get all wilding out on me out here in the comments. I know how y'all be. But, do you actually, have some love for the boy a little bit after this movie? Let us know.
Are you shipping freaking Gwen and Miles?
Yeah, do you ship Gwen and Miles, are you down with the ship? Twitter, let us know.
We all need to be on that damn ship, okay?
But yeah, bro, we already know Jawz really loved this movie. We thought it was fantastic. Let us know how you thought about it. Let us know if you thought this one was better than the first one. But let us know what you think about Miles overall. Let us know what you think about Miles and Gwen. Let us know. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. On the road to 1,000. Jawz in the booth. Vulgar Desperado.
Gentleman Bastard.
We'll catch you on the next one.
We out.
Peace.